A subtle flicker began it, a faint data blip, something cold, silent, and swift traversed our solar system in an unprecedented manner. Telescopes from Hawaii to South Africa first captured it, then, NASA confirmed its presence. A new object, previously uncharted, defying gravity's expected laws, and most alarmingly, originating beyond our solar system. Initially, it seemed just another rock, but within hours, patterns emerged, excessive speed, a trajectory too perfect, reflections too bright. When scientists traced its path, their discovery sent chills down spines. It was heading directly for the system's core. For decades, we believed space is silent, still, and indifferent, yet now, as this enigmatic object hurtles through our cosmic neighborhood, the James Webb Space Telescope has focused its gaze upon it, and what it has begun to reveal is something we might not be prepared for, because some are now questioning, what if this isn't merely a visitor? What if it's observing us? First detected between June 25 and 29, the object, now officially designated 3-2 Atlas, appeared on the radar of Atlas, a high-speed skyscanning system designed to detect potentially hazardous objects before they surprise us. But this time, Atlas didn't find just another asteroid. What it captured was distinct. Its speed surpassed 152,000 mph. Its orbit did not conform to any known gravitational loops of comets or inner solar system wanderers, and when astronomers simulated its reversed trajectory, its origin pointed not to the Oort Cloud, not to Neptune, but to interstellar space, possibly the galactic core. This was not a remnant rock from the solar system's formation. This was something that had journeyed through the darkness for tens of thousands of years, unseen, and now it had crossed the boundary into our solar domain. But the deeper enigma wasn't just its origin. It was its timing, because before 2017, we had never observed a single interstellar object. Now we've seen 3. And each one has been stranger than the last. Following the initial confirmation, scientists globally rushed to secure time on the most powerful space observatory ever constructed, the James Webb Space Telescope, designed to probe deeper into time and space than anything before it. Webb was now focused on something much closer and potentially far more unsettling. The object's brightness didn't correspond to its apparent size. Based on the intensity of its reflected light, it should have been massive, but measurements suggested something smaller, implying the surface isn't behaving like rock or ice, it's behaving like metal, highly reflective, cold, possibly hollow. Harvard astrophysicist Avi Loeb, who previously hypothesized that the 2017 object Oumuamua might have been artificial, once again stepped forward. He urged scientists to seek non-gravitational acceleration, slight deviations in motion that cannot be explained solely by the sun's gravity. If such deviations exist, they might indicate that the object isn't merely drifting but navigating, and if it's navigating, then we're not observing a rock. We're observing a decision. To grasp the gravity of this discovery, we must consider the 2 interstellar objects that preceded it. In 2017, Oumuamua burst into the scientific world with its peculiar elongated shape, lack of a comet tail, and mysterious acceleration after passing the Sun, despite showing no signs of gas or propulsion. Then, in 2019, Borisov clearly entered the picture. A comet, yes, but faster and more volatile than anything previously observed. With each of these objects, we were left with more questions than answers, but 3-2 Atlas is different. It combines the inexplicable brightness of Oumuamua with the trajectory of Borisov. It doesn't behave like a rock, but it also doesn't fit neatly into the comet category, and now astronomers are contemplating something even more radical. These may not be isolated events. They may be part of a pattern, a wave, a slow, deliberate sequence of contact disguised as randomness, because for centuries, our skies were empty. Then suddenly they weren't, and the only variable that changed was us. Among all the scientific papers, trajectory models, and observational data lies one question no institution wishes to publicly address: what if it's not natural? When you eliminate everything that makes no sense, when the brightness is too high, when the path is too sharp, when the motion isn't gravitational, you're left with a possibility too terrifying for most to utter aloud: artificiality. Not aliens in the Hollywood sense, not flying saucers and green faces, but probes, autonomous systems, artificial messengers dispatched long ago from distant places. Avi Loeb suggests we may have already missed the message from Oumuamua and that 3-2 Atlas could be our second chance. Its surface properties, its anomalous speed, and the timing of its arrival all point toward intentionality, or at least engineering. The James Webb Telescope will continue to monitor its thermal signature, spin, and trajectory, but what if the answers we're about to find aren't about what it is, but about who sent it? Because in a cosmos 13.8 billion years old, the most terrifying discovery wouldn't be that we're alone. It would be that we've been watched all along, and only now are we intelligent enough to notice. As days passed, the data from the James Webb Telescope and its supporting ground-based counterparts began to converge on something profoundly unsettling. The object was accelerating ever so slightly, and not in a way that solar radiation could explain. This wasn't cometary outgassing, there was no tail, no particle plume, no traceable emission, and yet, the object continued to alter its trajectory, slipping past predicted paths with eerie precision. Webb's infrared lens confirmed a faint but consistent thermal signature, not chaotic like an ice body, but stable, patterned, and directed. The anomaly mirrored the same behavior seen in Oumuamua, where a similar unexplained acceleration prompted quiet panic behind scientific doors. This time, however, it wasn't dismissed. It was measured, tracked, and now feared, because the very act of acceleration without force suggests something else, something with control. And for the first time, scientists began to whisper in internal memos what they couldn't yet say on record: we're not just observing this object. We might be under observation, too. With Webb's advanced instruments aimed directly at the object, the team at NASA's Goddard Space Flight Center performed a full spectral analysis. They expected to find silicates, iron, ice, typical signs of celestial debris. What they found instead shattered expectations. The surface composition didn't match any known asteroid or comet profile. Certain absorption lines suggested the presence of advanced carbon structures, ones more commonly associated with engineered materials than natural geology. In layman's terms, it looked manufactured. Not only was the reflectivity unusually high, but there were hints of symmetry in how the object spun, something almost unheard of in random cosmic debris. One side absorbed more heat than the other, possibly indicating intentional design. Even more baffling, fluctuations in electromagnetic readings hinted at internal complexity, perhaps even cavities or layered density. Whatever this was, it wasn't a typical chunk of rock, and if it isn't a rock, what is it? That question began to echo from NASA's Jet Propulsion Lab to the European Southern Observatory to the classified hulls of national defense agencies. Because if nature didn't create this thing, someone did. As public excitement grew, a new kind of silence began to settle in. Agencies that initially released trajectory data and light curves, NASA, ESA, and India's ISRO, suddenly pulled back. Mission pages stopped updating, observational timelines vanished, requests for raw Webb data were denied, citing internal review. FOIA requests submitted by journalists returned heavily redacted documents, and whispers began to leak from inside observatories. Researchers pulled from teams, specialists reassigned, access to telescope feeds quietly restricted. The public, initially fed a narrative of curiosity, was now met with closed doors. Why? What changed? Analysts in the astrophysics community began to suspect that something extraordinary had been discovered, and that governments were scrambling not just to understand it, but to decide what the public should be allowed to know, because once a discovery reaches a certain threshold, a zone that challenges the frameworks of physics, security, or belief, it no longer belongs to the realm of science. It becomes a matter of control, and control in space is as much about silence as it is about signals. As the object continues its silent glide through our solar system, a new realization is dawning across the scientific world: this is no longer just a data point. It's an inflection point, a moment where centuries of assumptions about space, solitude, and human centrality are being forced into reconsideration. If this object is artificial, then it came from a civilization far older than ours, one capable of building something that can survive millennia in deep space, one that might never need to speak because its presence alone is message enough. And if it isn't artificial, then we've just found a natural phenomenon so advanced and rare that it mimics design to the point of deception. Either way, the conclusion is the same: our understanding of the universe is incomplete, and James Webb just held up a mirror to that ignorance. We are no longer staring into the void. The void, perhaps, is staring back. And what it sees might finally be worthy of attention, amid the escalating mystery, a deeper, more disquieting idea began to ripple through the scientific community, not in public conferences or peer-reviewed journals, but in hushed conversations and encrypted emails between researchers. What if this object, this silent interstellar visitor, was never meant to be found by accident? What if the timing of its arrival, the growing intelligence of our instruments, and the specific orientation of the James Webb Telescope, all converging at this precise moment in history, was the final variable in a cosmic experiment, not just an artifact drifting through space, but a test, a probe waiting to be noticed by a civilization that had finally reached the threshold of detection, one that signals, "You're now intelligent enough to find us, now, let's see what you do next." Think about it, radio silence for billions of years. No messages, no signals, no obvious visitors, and yet, now, as AI advances, quantum physics accelerates, and humanity begins to stretch its fingers beyond Mars, something appears, quiet, precise, intriguing enough to lure our greatest telescope off its deep sky missions and onto it. Could this be the moment where we become the data point? Where our reactions, our science, our fears, and our silence all become part of their observation? Because maybe the scariest part of this discovery isn't what we saw, but the realization that we were never the observers at all. The James Webb Space Telescope was built to look outward, to trace the earliest stars, decode the origins of galaxies, and pull back the curtain on cosmic time, but what it found instead was something here now, and possibly watching back, not at the edge of the universe, but crossing through our cosmic doorstep. An object too perfect to be random, too silent to be ordinary, and too timely to be coincidence that we wanted answers. Instead, we found a mirror, a quiet, gliding enigma that reflects not just infrared light, but our deepest insecurities. Are we alone? Have we ever been? Or were we simply never advanced enough to notice what's been passing us by? What James Webb has revealed is not just a celestial object. It's the beginning of a new vocabulary, one that may include things we're not ready to define, whether artificial or natural, intelligent or accidental. The truth is this: we've entered a new phase of cosmic awareness. Point 1, where our telescopes don't just show us stars. They show us how much we still don't know, and maybe how much someone else already does. This wasn't a warning light. It was a test pattern, and now the question isn't whether we'll find something out there. It's whether something has already found us. If this story sent a chill down your spine, if it made you question everything we thought we knew about the cosmos, if it forced you to wonder who's really looking through the lens, then don't walk away in silence. Subscribe to this channel because we follow the signals that others ignore. Turn on notifications because the next object might not just be passing by. Share this video with someone who still believes we're alone in the dark. Comment below, do you think 3-2 Atlas is natural or something more?